Hello, testing. Got it. Can everybody hear me okay? Awesome. And just before we get started, I just wanted to just reiterate that there is a sign-in sheet in the back, and if you want to speak or have questions tonight, there is a speaker slip for you to fill out, just so we know what the questions were, so we can jot them down and refer to them later if we need to. Just a couple more people coming in. We'll just give them 2 seconds. Hello, how's it going? And I just wanted to welcome everybody to the meeting. This is for the Mar Vista Specific Plan Community Meeting. And staff has been working over the past number of months trying to put this document together. A lot of you have received the document through the e-blast the city has sent out, so I'm sure you've had a chance to read through it, see what development standards were, what some uses are being, see what uses are being proposed. This document is not to be a catalyst for anything. It's not meant to change anything in terms of intensifying development, intensifying roadways, or anything like that. This is just to memorialize what was previously approved for all of you in the county, in the Mar Vista area, under the county jurisdiction A70 land use, to what this document is going to become. So the specific plan is a tool that the city is utilizing to memorialize those standards so that you could continue to enjoy those development standards or land uses that you previously enjoyed prior to annexation. With that, I just wanted to introduce myself too. My name is Rafi Mangasirian. I'm the Associate Planner and the Project Manager for this project, P240354. So if you have any further future questions or concerns or comments, you can always email me or call me, and we'll put that up on the board at the end. Just real quick as well, I will go through the presentation, and if you want to do if you have any questions for Q&A at the end, I'm here to answer those questions, as is my colleagues and my supervisors, and I'll hand it off to Patsy Chow. Alrighty, sounds good. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Patsy. So just to get started here, topics of discussion for tonight will include specific plan goals, roadways, sewer requirements, permitted uses to remain and to be potentially removed, accessory structures, animal keeping and ancillary uses, commercial agriculture and cargo containers, as well as development standards. The project location is currently 143 acres, 108 parcels. Surrounding land uses are currently residential, all residential surrounding the property, some A1 and E1 land uses. General plan designation is currently rural residential, RR, and the zoning designation is A1, agriculture. In regards to zoning, surrounding land uses included are E1 and A1 as noted before. And the proposed zoning, should this document be approved, would be the Mar Vista Specific Plan Implementation Zone. And so this document will be available online, and this will be the new zoning for the Mar Vista neighborhood. The goals of the specific plan is to establish the specific plan A, consisting of all the parcels and the acreage noted before. It's to create a plan that maintains the rural nature of the community and characteristics of the existing neighborhood. This is also to maintain consistency between the specific plan and those previously allowed uses under the A70 designation from the County of San Diego zoning designation. So that's what all the parcels were zoned as before under county jurisdiction was A70, which is agricultural 70. And we're trying to maintain as much as we can from those standards in this document. In regards to roadways, a lot of questions have come up about Cannon Road extension to Mar Vista Drive. There is no plan to extend that road. This document is not a catalyst to extend that road, and that road will not be extended from Cannon to Mar Vista. So there is no plans at this moment or anytime in the future to extend that road. In regards to the streets that are within the Mar Vista specific plan neighborhood, those streets will continue to be maintained as semi-rural streets with a maximum of 2 lanes. Excuse me? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, is it not working? Or there we go. Got it. Thanks. Sorry about that. Yeah, please just jot it down and we will answer the question at the end. And then moving on to sewer requirements. In regards to sewer, City Vista will not require property owners to connect to sewer upon adoption of this document. If you are currently connected to sewer, that's great. There's no further action needed from you. But in the time that if you're currently on septic, and if you do want to expand your property, maybe add an ADU or a barn or something that would require additional capacity for a septic tank, all that permitting would typically be done through the county health department. The City of Vista does not get involved in septic tank permitting. That's all through the county health department. In regards to permitted uses, what this document will permit is the following: 1 family dwelling on each lot, accessory buildings and uses, guest houses, home occupations, fruit trees, nut trees, different horticulture stock, agricultural crops, greenhouses, flower, vegetable gardening, animal raising, and processing for market of crops raised on the premises. In regards to special use permits, a special use permit is maybe a more sensitive use, so this might be disturbing to some property owners. So a special use permit, due to its sensitivity, would require planning commission review and approval and determination. So if these uses are something that would be that a property owner would come forward with, we would have to take it through the process to a public hearing to the planning commission. These include agricultural sales, horticulture sales, packing and processing of plants or for farm crops, public stables, horse stables, cemeteries, churches, rescue missions, and shooting ranges. In regards to the minor use permit, the minor use permit is also a public hearing, but it's less intensive uses. This minor use permit would be through the zoning administrator public hearing. Some of these uses would include kennels, specialty animal raising, horse stable depending on the number of horses, cottage industries, agricultural packing and processing with limited uses, sports recreation, clubs and lodges, aviaries, parks, public buildings, radio antennas, schools, and skateboard ramps. In regards to the A70 zone, these are a list of uses that were previously permitted for this area under the County of San Diego A70 designation. Staff went through this and determined maybe some of these may not be applicable to the Mar Vista specific plan area. Some of these uses include civic uses for fire protection, law enforcement, mobile home, recycling facility, recycling processing, administrative and ambulance services, child care center, religious assembly, clinical services, community recreation, cultural and library services, major impact utilities, parking services, postal, veterinary, explosive storage, sports recreation, transient occupancy for a campground or a resort, organic material processing, wineries of different status, whether it's small, boutique, or wholesale. So these uses the staff reviewed and determined that these may not be suitable for the Mar Vista specific plan area. In regards to accessory structures and uses, detached accessory structures would be permitted just from the county standards. We basically adopted with the county requirements into this document. What the county currently allows is it limits a detached accessory structures, which could be garages, carports, storage buildings, workshops, hobby shops, offices, barns, or agricultural buildings or other similar uses. It limits that square footage to 25% of the living area of the principal residence, or in accordance with the lot size. The specific plan document does have a chart based on lot size in terms of acreage at how large the accessory structure could be. Attached accessory structures, that includes private garage, carport as well, storage building, workshop, hobby shop, and has the same limitations essentially. So whether it's attached or detached, there's a chart within a specific plan document based on acreage that gives you the allowance for a specific square footage for accessory structures. These are not ADUs, these are non-habitable structures. So ADUs are regulated separately and differently. These are only for accessory structures. In regards to animal keeping, we basically adopted the county standards for animal uses, which was a lot more standards than what the city had. So the county standards do allow for horse stables, kennels, animal raising with some limitations, small and large animal raising, specialty animal raising for bees or wild or undomesticated animals. Animal keeping standards are on page 19 of the specific plan document if you haven't referred to it yet. Animal enclosures are also going to be the same setbacks as accessory structures. So that includes a front setback would be 60 feet from street center line. Side interior lot line would be 10 feet. Side exterior lot line would be 35 feet. And the rear would be 10 feet from the property line. Commercial agriculture uses were also adopted to some limitation. That includes packing, processing, horticulture, tree crops, row and field crops, as well as an agricultural stand. And cargo containers. I know this is a one-off, but the city of Vista currently does not permit cargo containers in residential zones. We do permit them for construction purposes only when it comes to permitting once a permit's been issued. but the county does give some additional allowances for cargo containers that the city thought maybe we should adopt this for the Mar Vista neighborhood. This includes some standards for commercial versus residential. This can include some setback standards. Storage use can only be used for storage. It's got a legal primary use on the property, and there are no current violations on site, whether it's zoning or code enforcement related. And the exterior is painted a solid color. In regards to the proposed development standards, this is going to be related to any primary use or the primary structure, such as a main residence on the property. This was all adopted from the county zoning standards of A70. City just adopted what the county had already given you the allowance for. That includes minimum lot size would be 1 acre. Minimum density is 1 unit per acre. And that setbacks were front setback would be 60 feet from street center line. Side interior lot line would be 15 feet. Side exterior would be 35 feet, and rear 25 feet. When it says side lot line interior, that is between your neighbor and you. When it says exterior, that means it's basically a corner lot where there's a double street frontage on the property. So that setback for the side exterior would be greater than the interior side setback. In regards to floor area, for residential or commercial, there was no floor to area ratio noted, as well as lot coverage. There is no minimum or maximum lot coverage. Did I miss that? Oh, yes. And in regards to height limitation, same as what the county allows, would be 2 stories or 35 feet, which is already equivalent to what the city of Vista also allows. And for parking, the minimum required parking is 2 spaces per unit, which is a bigger allowance than what the city currently requires. In regards to fences and walls, we adopted the county standards as well for this one regarding solid fences, non-visible, so non-see-through. What that allows is within the front or exterior side yard setback, maximum height is 42 inches. Within a rear or interior side lot line, maximum height is 72 inches. That also is true for open fences with visibility, meaning it's see-through, such as maybe chain link, wrought iron, or wood slats. And in regards to landscaping, if there's any major development on the property or residential property, if there's a steep slope, it might need some erosion control for engineering. The city decided to go with our city's standards for landscape requirements for erosion control. But any major landscape improvements would just have to meet the landscape manual, which is pretty much in line with state requirements for water usage and plant utilization. In regards to environmental, this document is possible that we will draft a negative declaration, an ND per CEQA, that's the California Environmental Quality Act. It is still being reviewed to be determined by staff and the city attorney's office, but at the moment, a neg deck is being considered for this project. That does conclude my presentation. You can email me or call me for any questions you may have. Some of you have already emailed me and I've gone back to you guys within probably a day or so with some information. So that would open up at this moment the Q&A portion. So if you guys do have questions, I can answer them, we can answer them, and see what we can come to agree upon this document for the specific plan.
And just one thing with regards to taking questions, I'm going to be holding this microphone, so I'm going to just walk around the room here. So because we do need to have that recorded, so I would just ask you to speak into it as much as you can. I know it's too close to my mouth here, but I'll just raise your hand and I'll come to you and I will go in that order. Does that sound good? All right, cool. So Rafi, we'll start, I guess.
Anybody have, do we want to go through the speaker slips first and then see if anyone has additional questions beyond
Has
that.
anybody actually filled out a speaker slip? Or, okay, and we have those over there, so maybe we'll start with those and take that in order. So who's your first speaker? The lucky person, number one.
All right, so the first speaker slip I have here is for Bob Rawl,
Bob.
1031 Marine View Drive.
Mr. Rock.
Question was related to grandfathering in issues and CEQA compliance, correct?
Okay, I had my other questions here regarding your presentation, but I'm going to just wanted to explain the process that we got to where we're considering a negative declaration here when city code generally specifies that over 100 acres, I don't have it right here in front of me, it requires a environmental impact report.
Yeah, and I did get your email, and we are still looking into that process for the requirements for whether it's a neg deck MND. In regards to the specific plan, as previously noted, there is no intensification, there is no additional units being considered for this project, for this document. Everything is staying the same, and we're basically memorializing from anything from the county in this document. City attorney is still reviewing it as well to see about CEQA compliance, whether an ND would be the appropriate tool. They are thinking that it is, but it is still to be determined.
Okay, well, going back to the LAFCO Commission meeting of November 7th, 2022, and we were talking about my specific issue with encroachment to my septic system and reserve area. Commissioner McKenzie asked if we are conditioning in, are we going to honor all conforming uses? Does this include grading from the subdivision which has already taken place? Commissioner Desmond responded probably. Commissioner Vanderlyn responded yes. So you're going to grandfather in unlawful grading. And how are we going to deal with the conflict between that and approved uses which would be undermined by unlawful uses if you're grandfathering those in?
Yeah, so in regards to any kind of unpermitted uses that may have maybe been permitted under the county, maybe some documents were lost, or if they're just flat out doing it without permits, we'll have to look at that situation. When it comes to grading, that's going to be completely up to our engineering department, engineering staff. When it comes to whether it meets stormwater quality management plans, best management BMPs, soils reports, hydrology, that is something that they would review if there's illegal grading going on, especially for drainage. Last thing you want to have is have it be drained into your neighboring property or neighbor's property. So there are some requirements for state laws that engineering will have to look at based on the property and what's already been done. If there's no structure yet built, engineering would have to see what has been eroded away, or in terms of cubic yards of dirt, what has been moved around already. Is there a specific development that you're referring to?
My property has been tied up for 20 years now by grading encroachment that the county pre-approved but never issued permits on for two adjacent properties. So I'm landlocked for sewage disposal, and if you do things in the traditional manner, that is, Department of Environmental Health is going to review the septic layout on the adjacent property that hasn't been built yet, and they approve that. That has generally been accepted as, well, now you can issue permits with the building department. And I put this in an email to you, so you're aware of what I'm sharing.
I do have that email detail.
But the problem is, if you move forward on that without mitigating that encroachment, that property will built and will remove my opportunity for a sewage disposal easement, sewer connection easement, to access sewer to resolve the problem that exists on that property.
Yeah, we'll have to review that with our engineering department first and foremost, with sewer engineering and land development. The information you provided was very detailed, so I am still reviewing that. If you have the previous site plans or development standards that you've used or try to get permitted under the county, you could send that over. I'll forward it over to our engineering department and have them take a look at it and see what would be required, A, for a sewer connection, or B, maybe septic tank would be the best route to move forward with. But at this moment, I haven't seen a site plan that you've previously been drafting. So once I receive the site plan, I will review with our engineering department. Yeah.
We'll send you a proposal.
Got it. Did your email have the attachment for the site plan?
No, it did not, but that's readily accessible. I can send that to you.
Cool. Awesome.
Well,
But yeah, if you have other questions about the presentation.
question about the presentation. You were showing carports there. County of San Diego doesn't require permits for up to 300 square feet of carports, and that doesn't seem to have been clarified here or in the draft-specific plan. Is the city going to require permits for a 300 square foot carport?
So we're open to that idea if they don't permit it up to 300 square feet. I've looked through the county zoning code. It's a pretty big zoning code to look through, especially with fresh eyes, who's someone who's never looked at it before. I just started reviewing all their standards maybe 2-3 months ago, trying to figure out what would be permitted, what would be permissible. The maximum square footage that you saw in the slideshow, that is straight from the county requirements and county zoning code for accessory structures. I can try and ask them if there's any such allowance for waiving of permits for X amount of square feet. The maximum that we waive for a shed per se is 120 square feet. Anything more than that, you would need a permit. With the county, we'll have to double check that and see if. Yeah.
So that's a heightened approval requirement over county requirements.
Oh,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Wait.
The county allows 300 square feet of patio or carport without a permit. And one of the things and there are conditions on that structure that they have to be a certain distance from the property line. And the county also has an exemption or an allowance for accessory structures to go into the side and rear yard setbacks, providing they don't exceed 12 feet in height and they do not exceed the encroachment greater than 1,000 square feet.
That I do not know, but I'll have to double check. And before we move forward, I know the e-blast went out for the draft document for review. If you have not received that or want a copy of it, I do have copies here that I can give you right now if you'd like to follow along. Yeah. right, so let's see. I have Jacob, 1141. Coach, you scoring. Yeah.
Okay. Hello. So I have a concern. It's mostly financial for the city of Vista. A large portion of the general plan is very low density housing. Just looking at it from
Mhm.
a satellite imagery, generally speaking, that's not profitable for the city. There's a high upkeep on the roads. Um, I know you guys said a couple times that you're not considering editing the zoning restrictions or the zoning
Correct.
criteria. When this goes in front of the planning commission, are they going to be, subject to the same guidance initially, or do they have the leeway to make edits before adoption?
So when it goes to the planning commission, it's a pretty final document. Now, if they want to make recommendations and send it back down to staff for further review, they can definitely do that. If they wanted to make additions, they can also make that recommendation too to the city council, because this document will ultimately go in front of the city council for adoption. So if that's something that city council wants to adopt, then yes, staff will incorporate that into that document as well.
So if I have suggestions, the planning commission to change really the nature kind of some of the zoning, the proper forum would be in the planning commission. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, as a first
Okay.
step would be the planning commission. That's the public hearing.
Okay.
That's the moment that you can voice your opposition, support, concern,
Okay.
or in this meeting right now, if you have a recommendation, we can also take that recommendation into consideration.
Okay. I didn't want to disrespect your statement of not wanting to change sort of the nature of the plan generally. So when I got the email of the plan, like I said, low density housing like
Right.
this is financially straining on the city, and I did a bunch of research into the history of the minimum lot size requirement specifically.
Right.
And I can cite the couple studies that I found that were outstanding were from the George Mason University in Arlington, Virginia, published 2019, and they looked at some suburbs in Texas, and they had similar or let me just read it what my statements were. Um, so the suburbs had their own minimum lot sizing requirements, and the study found that market outcomes were consistent with Americans' desire for lot sizes between 5 and 7,000 square feet, instead of an acre is 43,000 square feet. Additionally, the second study that I found was useful was the city of Houston, Texas, had a similar lot size requirement that they reformed in 1998, and they extended it in 2013. And the study was reviewing the impact of those minimum lot size requirement changes from 2007 to 2020. And the general argument against removing these requirements is changes the culture of the character of the residential area. It creates expensive units, leads to gentrification, and the study showed that doesn't actually happen, and that generally speaking, the single-family residential lots that exist stay in existence, and by removing those requirements, the unused portions of properties, the lots that are too small sort of to be used, end up becoming developed on, and those housing units that are developed on those properties are within reach of the median income class.
And what you're recommending is to
Remove the minimum lot size requirement.
Okay. So in regards to what this document would achieve, what it was noted before and what the residents are expecting is that the specific plan would memorialize what's from the county. So the county designation of A70 for this area was 1 acre minimum size lots. That is what this document is going to memorialize and to achieve. In regards to higher densities, we are currently going through our our general plan update for the city of Vista. Mike Ressler is leading that cause and doing a great job at it. But there is a lot of zones in the city that's already high density. So downtown Vista, 40 units an acre, potentially being increased to 60 or even 80 units an acre. Patsy Chow, right behind you, has already done the housing element for the city of Vista, which was already adopted and approved by the state HCD, essentially, for adoption. Basically, certifying that the city of Vista complies with state regulations and standards for housing and housing count. So intensifying this area didn't make as much sense as maybe the core of the city as downtown Vista, and this specific plan would not be doing that. It would just keeping this area to 1 acre or more sized lots. There are some lots that are half acre. There are some lots that might be less than that, but at the moment, this specific plan does not intensify the density. Now, if there's housing legislation or per state law, such as ADUs or SB9 or lot splits that the state requires cities to adopt or require or approve, then yes, we'll adopt those state regulations when they come out. But at the moment, that is not the case for this area.
Okay, thank you.
On SB 9, if I build an ADU, the SB 9 allows me to sell that parcel. How will that affect the minimum lot size?
So at the current moment, I think what you're also referring to is SB 10, which SB 9 allows for the subdivision, and then SB 10 could also allow for the sale of that parcel. At the current moment, the city has not adopted the sale sale allowance from the state, which would convey title to that ADU or to that split parcel, right?
It's not a condominium you're referring to, correct? Yeah, so he's talking about SB 9 lot
Yes.
split. So pursuant to state law, any single-family lot in the city of Vista allows for a subdivision of that lot into 2 lots with the maximum of a 60-40 split. So that would be that's a state law that would be administered across the board and would be qualified to this neighborhood as well.
Really quick, that's also applicable in the county. So that's state law that's applicable in San Diego County and the city of Vista. So that standard trumps our local discretion, period, whether it was county or city.
That cannot be implemented if it's in a high fire zone. Now, most of the county is in high fire zone. I think there's like 1% or 1.5% of all the acreage that is able to be done. And I'm not sure if that's in the high fire zone or not, but that'll be
Yeah, SB 9 wouldn't be allowed in farmland, wetland, high fire zone, earthquake fault lines. There are maps on our GIS that would identify some of those locations. I don't believe this area is one of those areas, so it should be okay for SB 9, unless the outskirts maybe have some encroachment of the fire district or the fire hazard zone within the Mar Vista community. But I can check that map and send it to you if you want one. It's Don regarding Stonegate. Is it a COSB or COSD? What's your last name? Sislo, got it.
I've got nothing to say at this time.
Got
Yeah,
it.
it's a meeting, so I'd like to talk if I have to. So.
Yeah.
But I've got nothing at this time.
Okay. Dave Zimmerman. Dave Zimmerman, yeah.
I was just wondering, is this a done deal? Are we already a part of Vista?
Correct.
So this is already, annexation is a done deal.
Yeah, so the this whole neighborhood was annexed in 2021, I believe it was. Approved by City Council in 2021. Okay. And forwarded to LAFCO for their approval as well. So it was annexed in. The whole zoning of the area is A1 currently, which is a city standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that sewer, Buena Vista or sewer thing, is that still, are we paying for that still, even though we aren't
So if you're,
part of the county, part of the county now?
say that one more time.
I'm still paying for that Buena Vista or Buena
Sanitation
Creek
district. Yeah.
sanitation. Are we still paying for that even though we're in Vista now?
Yeah.
Hmm?
So that Buena Vista Sanitation District was already existing within that area. Are you currently on sewer or septic?
Sewer.
Sewer. So then you would be paying into that sanitation district already.
Okay. I thought it was terminated. I thought that's what I read in the. Sure.
Once, I think the question is, once you get annexed into the city of Vista, you actually become part of Vista Sanitation District. That's typically the case. So it might be actually referenced in the reso. Hold on for just 1 second. Yeah, because right here, so the resolution, when it got approved by LAFCO, which is, by the way, for those of you that don't know what LAFCO is, it's the Local Agency Formation Commission. So that's the authority that once there is a decision to detach or attach, oh, thanks, Rafi. I was going like, where did the thing go? Once there's a decision to attach or detach a certain area from a jurisdiction, it goes through this LAFCO agency to kind of make the final decision on whether that's going to happen or not. So it did happen at LAFCO. And then a resolution was approved by LAFCO, which basically said Mar Vista Island reorganization, annexation to the city of Vista, which did happen, with concurrent detachments from the Buena Sanitation District and the Vista Fire Protection District and related sphere action under the LAFCO file case number RO 21-04. So long answer to your question, sir. Basically, it's detached from Buena, and now it's attached into the Vista Sanitation District. Does that help? So your property taxes, would that be the property tax that ends this, that you're just paying this December? It goes from, right. So that might, that is a question we would have to actually get somebody in sanitation engineering to answer that, because of the period that is covering as far as your property taxes when it pays on the bill. It will identify that you're still in Buena, perhaps in this period that you're paying property taxes for, but it should identify Vista Sanitation in the next property tax bill, what I'm trying to say. But since I'm not a property tax person, I'm not an engineer, we probably need some clarification from the engineering department on that. It shows up in your property tax bill. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because once you are attached into the city, it changes hands as far as the sanitation district. It's not Buena, it's Vista Sanitation. Technically, you are now in Vista, so you're getting through Vista Sanitation District. That is a question that we need to ask somebody in engineering. Yeah. Sure. It's getting treated the same, probably in the same form and to the same facility. Yes, probably so. And again, I'm not an engineer, but we can definitely get more clarification on that. All right. Let's see. Oh, go
I don't have.
we can definitely get back to you, and your name, we should probably mark that up, Rafi, with Vista Sanitation question, and then we'll get back to you, sir. Yeah, definitely. Did you have any other questions? Okay. All right. Did you
Next one is Mar Vista Plan,
Aaron. Aaron? Aaron, all right. Here you go.
Okay. Hi, thank you. So I came to this meeting today to oppose this plan. I represent the largest demographic here in Vista, and we can't find housing. And plans like this kind of slap us in the face. And I don't care how final you say this plan is, you can change zoning. And I've read the city reports and the housing element reports for the city and for the county. Vista is in a housing debt of more than 6,000 housing units. 6,000. That's a lot. And you think that 108 parcels is gonna do anything about that? When if you zoned it for R1 or even multi-R, that would help out a lot more. We want to actually see housing. Like, I did everything right. I went to SDSU, I got my bachelor's, I got a job at a Fortune 500 company, and I can't move out of my parents' house in Vista, of all places. Come on. I come to meetings, I see the plans you guys are putting out, and you guys aren't doing anything to fix the problem or fix your 6,000 housing debt. The debt is housing that should have been built yesterday. So when you do stuff like this, like I said, it's kind of a slap in the face. So as much as you say like, oh, this is final, we're memorializing the standards, you can change things. And again, I read the reports. You know how crowded Vista is and how much people are suffering under housing. Like, how did the plan even get this far? Like, you can change the zoning. And I don't want to be gaslit of like, oh, well, we have high density zones in Vista. That's obviously not enough if you've gotten to this kind of a housing debt. So I'm disappointed in what the city, the council, and your various departments have gotten this far to be this much of a problem.
Have you come out to any of the general plan update meetings that we've had over the past year or two? Because we've had a few meetings where we're considering the higher densities in downtown Vista, along North Santa Fe, East Vista Way, South Santa Fe, so what you're describing, those higher densities are being considered. So right now, the highest density we have in the city is 40 dwelling units an acre. We meet state requirements, right? But we are looking to update that as well to go up to 60 to 80 units an acre in downtown Vista, South Santa Fe, all pending the Planning Commission and City Council review and approval as well. So we are trying to achieve those goals that the state sends down to all the cities. And our housing element is approved by HCD, which is the governing authority on those documents. Am I right, Patsy?
As far as meetings, like your website's pretty shit.
Okay, we don't need to use that kind of language.
Be honest.
But if you do want to come to the counter, I can show you all the projects that are pending on our, we have 60 pending projects right now in the city. Some are approved, some are pending review. So if you do want to see what projects are being considered, I can definitely go through that with you if you want to come in tomorrow at the counter.
Even still, I still want plans like this. I would like to see an area like this rezoned. Oh, 25 to 38.
You're 25 to 38-year-old is what you're referring to.
So millennials.
Yeah.
When this area got annexed into the city of Vista, there was a commitment to the property owners within this neighborhood that they would be able to utilize the existing zoning and development standards that they achieved previously in the county jurisdiction. So all we're doing is memorializing the commitment that we made that night when the city council approved the annexation of this area.
Do they own that entire 143? Do they own that entire 143 acres?
Who? The council?
When he said that you were making a commitment to the owners,
To the property owners.
to the property owners.
Correct. Yeah, 180 parcels, 143 acres, yeah.
If you rezoned it, if they still own their land, but then if they want to sell it, then it changes.
It would still be, so if this is adopted, it would be the 1 acre minimum requirement. If they wanted to sell the property, it would still be 1 acre for the new owner.
I'm just saying I'm just saying some people would like to see zoning changes to help accommodate more housing.
And
So
yeah.
you guys have the ability to actually look at it and make those changes. And like there was, I'm paraphrasing the quote in one of your reports that said that housing was the #1 priority in Vista.
Right. Yeah, and it currently is the general plan update. There are a number of zones that we are looking to intensify pending approval by the Planning Commission and City Council. Mike?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want, you could stop by our offices this week. We can sit down and we can show you where the general plan update website is. We can explain where we're at in that process. We can show you the areas of change that we provide. That's the direction that we've been provided by our City Council and our Planning Commission, where we're intensifying densities along our major corridors and within our downtown area. So if you'd like, you can get our business card. You can come in tomorrow. We'd be more than happy to walk you through that entire process.
We want more space and green areas. So it's two sides of a coin there. Yeah.
That was the last speaker slip.
All right.
Okay. You want me to hold it? Okay. First thing, I appreciate what staff is doing. I understand, having been a former councilman for the city of Vista, the process. I understand the fear by a lot of us here, and I'm included, because nothing is in perpetuity. Any city council majority can change anything. So what you're doing for us right now is memorializing, but that's with the caveat. And that's what everyone here has to understand, that 3 council members can change anything from this memorialized. Now, what's essential for all of us is now we get to vote for council members here in the city of Vista and for the mayor. So we're going to have to exercise that right in order to keep the rural area that we have, which so many people in Vista, when they drive down Mar Vista the first time, they never realize that there is a little bit of rural still in the heart of Vista. They're amazed. Now, getting on to question, back to most streets. There aren't that many streets in this area. So when you say most, try to clarify that to me and for all of us. What you're not saying is all streets will remain. So which one is it?
So in page 15 of the draft specific plan, under letter F says street requirements, and it's short, so I'm just going to read it. The Mar Vista specific plan area is bound by Mar Vista Drive to the north and Buena Vista Drive to the west. Both streets are currently designated as semi-rural streets in the City of Vista's General Plan, Chapter 3 circulation element, which includes a maximum of 2 lanes. This designation will maintain the existing width of semi-rural roadways throughout the specific plan area to help retain the existing character of the neighborhood. Where possible, landscape median, street trees, and/or landscape buffers along sidewalks may be required to improve the appearance of the public rights of way. So that is all the streets, essentially. And then while Cannon Road underneath that section is not literally in the specific plan, we actually included language in there on Cannon Road that Cannon Road is not intended to extend through the Mar Vista specific plan area. So I know the slide, Mr. Cole said most, but it's all the streets within the specific plan.
Is there a specific street that you're concerned about?
Not really, but I'll just have to keep an eye on everything that goes on. You see, this is wonderful to have. I don't know what time in December you sent out the emails with. I think I understood that you sent it out with the draft plan in an email form, but I never received it. And Linda, right, so that's why I blurted out most. I mean, that's the first time I've had an opportunity to look and see.
If you guys have a chance to review the draft specific plan that's been provided to you tonight and you have any questions, please email Rafi, and we're going to work with the community and still work with the community to address that. I also want to take a quick moment, though, to address the concern in the community about housing. We do take this very seriously in the planning department, in our community development department. We do believe that there is a housing shortage in the state of California that has also affected Vista. We do believe that. We are also very progressive in trying to be creative and flexible in looking at tools to provide more housing. We've recently updated our municipal code and zoning standards so that if projects were previously identified in our housing element and they come before the city staff with 20% affordable units for low income as part of their projects, it's approved by right over the counter. That's a recent tool that was implemented to create flexibility and streamline the process. That's not necessarily applicable to this specific plan, but I do want to speak to the concerns we've heard about housing. We are looking at our general plan. We are looking at increasing densities along our commercial corridors to repurpose underutilized commercial land because we do know that there is a housing crisis and we do need housing. We also look at the community as a whole and we try to create land plans that are consistent with existing neighborhoods and what their values are while looking in areas where we can try to accommodate housing. In this particular area, these residents were annexed into the city and essentially promised by city staff and the city councilors at the time that they would preserve the rural character of this neighborhood, and that's why this document is not increasing zoning or proposing to increase zoning at this time. So for this particular area, staff does support the rural character and we're going to propose that. We appreciate the input and we want you guys to continue to be champions for your causes because they are valuable pieces of input that we need for support because we do support housing too in other areas throughout the community.
Just wanted to clarify one thing on the access to the specific plan. So when Rafi Esmeralda sends out the e-blast and you get that in your email, it's a link to the document, so it's not attached as a PDF. I think we're going to have to improve that a bit. One is to please sign in tonight on that sign-in sheet outside because we're going to keep track of all of you guys. No, I'm just kidding. And put your email, phone number, however you want us to contact you because we want to give you the information and pass on the draft as it's getting revised for when we go to public hearing, etc. We'll do a better job in attaching it to the e-blast so you can have easy access to the document. So I hate for you guys to come back and say, oh, I didn't see the document, I don't know where it was, and we want to be helpful in that manner. So I'm hearing that from a few folks, and we definitely want to make it easier, okay? So please reach out to us if you're not able to find it for some reason. I just want to clarify that, just like a housekeeping kind of a thing. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
All right, speaking with neighbors throughout the Miramar and Marine View area, most of them are concerned with code enforcement, that they're going to see code enforcement driving up and down the street, and quite honestly, although it's not a real significant dollar amount, the financial impact report that was done by a third party back way back, the third highest cost was to code enforcement department, which was interesting. It gives people the feeling like, okay, we're going to see code enforcement up here, they're going to be writing violations, and they're going to be collecting fines. I ask you, how do you allay those fears?
So I'll be very real with you. Unfortunately, code enforcement is not in community development. It's not under my purview here in the city of Vista. That's kind of a joke, but it's real. I've managed code enforcement in other cities as community development director. And like the other cities, in Vista, code enforcement is not proactive, they're reactive. And they only go out and investigate complaints that they receive. So you're not going to see in the city of Vista anywhere code enforcement driving around trying to find places or people or things or items that they're going to cite, because they only respond to complaints. So we're not going to send, in the city of Vista, staff out there driving through the neighborhood trying to find people or find code enforcement violations. So we're not proactive. And number two is, if they do receive a complaint, they will investigate that. And they're investigating that to protect the health, safety, and welfare of all our citizens. That property owner, if they have a violation, it could be unsafe for them, and it could be unsafe for their neighbor. So while we're not sending code enforcement out there to drive around and look for citations, if they do have a call and they investigate, if they find a violation, they will work to correct that. And honestly, that's better for everyone's property value and everyone's safety. And I think personally, that's a benefit to this area, to have city more direct access to your local representation of your local city staff than you would have had under the county. So that's my personal belief and bias as a city employee. But the point is that code enforcement's not going to proactively go out and try to look for violations. They will only respond for complaints. And if they go out and investigate a complaint, there's nothing there, they're done. If there's a violation, then they'll notice that property owner to correct that violation.
What date did we become a part of Vista? What is the exact date that we became part of Vista?
So there is an actual document that got recorded at the county. So, but before that, this November, I think it was 2022. It was 2022, November 7th? November 7th, 2022. So Joe's saying that, and then it got recorded at the county in April 11th of 2023. It got recorded, yes, by the county recorder's office on April 11th, 2023. That was the certificate of completion of the reorganization of the Mar Vista Island. And then on November 7th, I think Joe's referring to as November 2022, when it actually got approved by LAFCO.
Yeah, so after the recordation of the completion of the annexation, we had a community workshop. It was very nice of the Coles to host that at their property in the neighborhood. Exactly. So it was a really nice event, and we introduce to everyone that they're part of the city of Vista to welcome you to this beautiful city of Vista. So that's to be determined based on your own personal opinion. So I believe they were annexed in. I wasn't here at the time, but I believe they were annexed in to try to reorganize the boundary because it was a large island in the middle of our city. Correct. And the county, it's true. LAFCO didn't want it to be a county island in the middle of the city. It's more of a LAFCO policy, too. I don't know about that. I'm sorry. I don't know the answer to that. Okay. I wasn't aware of that. So they asked why was the annexation put forth, and he said, did it have to do something with the Vista Irrigation District and transfer of that?
I'm afraid none of us in this room, unfortunately, have the background history back in those years in terms of how it got triggered. Sometimes the annexation is triggered by having to connect to sewer and be part of a jurisdiction, but there could have been other reasons or motives for that. So.
Yeah. We'll send you the information from the minutes.
Not so much a question, but more of a clarification. My suggestion was not to rezone as multifamily, but just to remove the minimum lot size. I do ask that you look at the study from Houston. If you search, Houston zoning 2007 to 2020, Okay. This email?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's me.
Yeah. Thank you. I took a picture. Thank you. Yeah. Just a clarification. In the study, they specifically, were trying to also address concerns that people have over changes to the character of their, nothing has no impact, but it was minimal. Thank you.
It's incumbent on all of us, because this process that staff's bringing forward, changes can be made by the Planning Commission if a majority of them want to make a change. The same thing happens when it goes from the Planning Commission to the City Council. A council majority of 3 can make changes on the plan that's before us right now. So once again, it's incumbent on all of us, not only all of us, to contact our neighbors, which I have told them. Basically, Planning Commission and City Councils where we have to be here in numbers to make sure that something doesn't go sideways. So, Merry Christmas, everyone.
So I have a real quick question. So Planning Commission, so you're gonna, I don't want the mic. So you're gonna put this through, but the council has to approve it?
And do we have to pay if we buy a new car? Do we